man, it's just life, man. People, we get busy, and today is my son's birthday. He is 4 today, so shout out to him.
Man, shout out, bro. This is
Yeah.
you getting old, man. You got gray hair yet?
Oh, dude, I'm
Gray
getting
hair.
so old. No grays, no grays, no grays, no grays, no grays. Still not one gray, and I don't pluck
Mhm.
them. I just haven't had one yet.
I
Some days though, I wonder, but yeah, no, man, it's wild. I can't believe he's 4 already. It's wild. Like, me and my wife were just talking about it yesterday. Like, man, I remember her doing like curb walking, like the day she was having like contractions, trying to like trying to get him out. You know what I mean? Now he's like talking, and just he's just a little man. It's wild. It's like I never really understood like the whole, like, man, it goes by so fast. Like, the days are
Mhm.
long, but the years are short, kind of thing. And I know my kid's only 4. I'm sure there's people who are going to watch this that are like, oh, I got kids that might be older than you are. It's just like, yeah.
We're new
It's
to the
wild.
journey. We're new to the journey, and we're
Yeah,
enjoying
yeah, yeah.
it.
We're still novices. You know what I mean? We're still figuring it out. But um, anyways,
Why?
you guys, welcome back to New Block Nerds Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, aka Prince, with the homie Darron, aka Medic Grizz. Darron, how we doing, man? How we doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Which pod are we doing right now, sir? Because before I speak, I got something I want to make sure. Which pod are we doing today?
So we're back in the Vale with Catelyn. I think I think it's Catelyn
Yeah.
6. I want to
I was
say
hoping you
Catelyn
said
6.
something different. I was hoping you said something different.
Nope, nope,
That,
nope.
that
It's your
moment.
favorite character. Your favorite character, and it's so hilarious this early too in the story, because Catelyn has a lot of POV chapters. Like, we
Yes.
see a lot of the story develop through Catelyn's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And not for nothing, she does a lot of traveling in this first book as well. So, like, we get a lot of that good, like, organic exposition from George in her chapters, right? Like, now she's traveling to the Vale, which we get a whole kind of description about what the Vale of Arryn is, why it's kind of respected in a way that it's respected in Westeros. Um, it is it is a mountain fortress in the purest sense of the name. It is extremely hard to get to. It's not something that can be invaded by like practical means. So it makes the Vale of Arryn a very, very powerful position. Um,
And my
and like,
limited knowledge of Game of Thrones, this is by far, if I had to pick a home base, this is where I want to be.
yeah,
Of all the bases we ever talked about, from the sea to getting onto the lands in the north to how King's Landing, none of them gave me the essence of protection and difficulty to actually get to where I gotta go than this one right here. Like,
yeah.
the Vale is where I would want to, like, hands down the best one. Hands down.
Yeah, no, you make a really good point there, because I feel like a lot of people, if you ask a lot of Game of Thrones fans like what castle they would pick, I feel like a lot of people wouldn't pick the Eyrie. I feel like a lot of people would pick like Winterfell or King's Landing or Storm's End or Castle Rock, or some other more quote unquote well known castles. But again, for all the points that we just made, like,
Mm-hmm.
the Eyrie in the Vale of Arryn is like, you can't invade there. Like people forget like how Aegon and his sisters conquered the Vale. They didn't march an army through there.
No.
Visenya flew her dragon into the courtyard because that was the only way they were going to get up there. Um, and basically, got their surrender that way, because they could just fly up, to the top of the mountain where the castle was. Other than that, how are you're not just running up in the Eyrie, dude.
It's like
And like
checkpoint.
in the chapter, they talk about, like, as Catelyn's making her trek up, like, you have to take these super narrow and steep steps
Mm-hmm.
all the way up the mountain, and you have to pass through 3 different castles, or little fortresses. I think it's like snow, stone, and sky, what they call them.
Yes.
So like to your point, you can defy anyone up there as long as you have enough provisions to last you, because No one can invade you. You can't get up there.
Even think about the first part, right? Even when they were talking about everyone couldn't truck up there. Also, you had to truck up there depending on the day. Footing. The horses can't get up there. You gotta use other goats. You gotta use other like the stair like basically the passageways went from being like almost a wide to getting narrow and narrow to the point where you can't see anything.
Yep.
Even the one girl who was a bastard, Stone is the name of the lady that was helping her be her guide.
Maya Stone, I
Like,
think, is her name.
yeah, even she was like, "Yo, it can get tricky up here. Like in parts you can't even use an animal. You gotta walk. So
Yeah.
imagine you trying to bring an army and you gotta go through all that before you even get to the point of trying to fight somebody. I'm not going through all that, bro. You can keep your veil. I'm going back somewhere else.
Yeah.
But the dragon, you gotta mess around the terrain. You can hop up there and do your thing. But
Right.
there is no dragons right now. So like,
No.
yo, that's where
Yeah.
I want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing that after, and we're getting off topic a little bit now, but
Mhm.
it's amazing that the Knights of the Vale even continued to follow the Targaryen rule after the dragons died off, because like you said, you can't really invade us. You can't really make us do anything we don't want to do without sending an army up here one by one. And it doesn't matter what your numbers are when the terrain is such that you can only send one person up at a time. Like we could do whatever we want, you
And if
know?
you had archers aiming down, if you wanted to, it's a wrap. Like this chapter was so well written when it came to, like you mentioned, Catelyn's now traveling, so you actually get to see the world building and seeing just her sister's land, the Vale, and everything else. Like I see why she is kind of cuckoo, but also I mentioned how she was cuckoo when she was at the
Hmm.
landings. But also I see why no one's really like you don't see them. Remember, I mentioned before they mentioned how they kept all their guard, everyone here. Like no one really leaves there either. So
Nope.
it's like a secluded, like almost like Avatar. Like it's just literally like its own little thing where no one can
Yep.
even get there nor speak about it or nothing. So you can have your own separate rules of guide, whatever you want to do up there. But what got me, bro, is that the Lannisters are still so well known that when it came to Catelyn basically saying that he's still my prisoner, and then everyone's like, he has a battle axe.
Yeah.
He's
Is he?
talking. Is he
Yeah.
really a prisoner? Like this is the Lannister, but you're bringing a lion here. Like we told you that we don't even want the lions around.
Right.
So you saw the tension, but you seen how like as you get more into terrain, it's like more of the orange getting peeled and peeled and peeled, and you start seeing like the real hatred for everyone outside of this particular land and kingdom. So it was definitely a vortex of madness up there.
Yeah,
Get there
it's
and kill
it's
everyone.
interesting. It's interesting you bring that up because of their natural seclusion, just due to
Mm-hmm.
the topography of the Vale. I can see how they can kind of feel like they're living in a bit of a bubble up there, right?
Yeah.
Um, and obviously, Lysa has other mental issues that notwithstanding, but I don't think that, to your point, I don't think the seclusion
Nah.
helps at all.
Yes.
Right? But good on her for after, her husband died and she suspected the Lannisters, that she kind of just hauled ass
Yeah.
and got up out of there, right? Which again, to your point, all the points we just made, perfect place to retreat to because can't nobody get to you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but I also think at the same time it's a double-edged sword, right? Because you're so cut off from everything else, you get stuck in this little bubble where you know only things that matter to you, if that makes sense. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
So we talked about Catelyn making her trek up the mountain, with Tyrion in tow, prisoner, if only a name, but
Mm-hmm.
prisoner nonetheless. And she kind of reiterates that to one of the knights who greets them at one of the gates. And she's like, "Look, he's here with me, and it's not by choice. So you can call it whatever you want, but I'm still detaining him." Um,
That was her
and
uncle, right?
yeah, it was actually the Blackfish. Yeah. It was actually the
Um,
Blackfish. Yeah. So we get to meet the Blackfish, who is Catelyn's uncle. So it's her father's younger brother.
mhm.
You get a little bit of background about him, who's seems to be completely a badass. Shout out to
bro.
Blackfish. We love the Blackfish. Um,
Yeah, like yo, even the whole thing, like his he. I want to know like more about him. I do because even like he felt like he stood 10 toes on his true feelings about what's going on,
yeah,
and no, I'm out of here. I'm going back into over here. Like there was no telling him what to do. He
yeah.
marched at his own like own tune.
Yep, yep. And you gotta respect that about him. Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
certain amount of stubbornness I think that can be really endearing. It's a thin line, of course, right? And clearly, his brother Hoster would probably disagree with both of us here about the about Blackfish's stubbornness being endearing, but um he's kind of trying to give Cat a little bit of advice. He's like, "Hey, look, you're here. I wish you would have sent word.
Mm-hmm.
I fear that you may not recognize your sister as you last saw her. Because remember, Catelyn hasn't seen Lysa for years, right? I think
Yeah, it's
maybe
just
since they got married, because they
the
got
wedding.
married in a
Yeah.
hurry.
Mm-hmm.
They got married in a hurry in River Run. Kat got married to Ned, obviously. Lysa got married to John Arryn, and then they both went off to war. Then John becomes handed the king, so him and Lysa stay in King's Landing, and Ned and Kat go back up to Winterfell. So they haven't seen each other for a very long time.
It's the second time we got warned that she may not be who you think she once was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's kind of ironic that this happens when she's the same person that preached to Ned that Robert may not be who he once was. It's
Yep.
like her rules apply to everyone else outside of her true circle. Your sister been through a lot. Like on top of that, her husband was murdered, wasn't handed king, and then just the interaction of that whole dynamic that even the Uncle Sam like, yo, she's not you. And when she was trying to defend about how like
Yep.
about her sister being married now moving on to new things and how the people want it to be a one solid like household and how they think they're trying to like prolong so she can rule long enough for her son to take over. And then Catelyn's like, my sister, as girls can rule. Uncle's like, she ain't you, bro.
Yeah. Right. No, he's like, no, no, no. You could rule.
Not you.
She could not. This isn't like I don't think she can rule because she's a woman. I don't think she
Mm-hmm.
can rule because I think she's nuts.
And you doing all this, like this is the process of the place I went to. And you're getting all these warnings, like, all right, well, what's really going on here, bro?
Yeah.
Like,
And something else. It's again reading this book in hindsight. I have a little bit more, I guess, for lack of a better term, empathy for Catelyn because
mhm.
I'm reading this and you see her start to doubt herself
Yes.
about the accusations that she's laid at Tyrion's feet,
Hmm.
and you see in her inner monologue, she's like, she pushed those thoughts away because she understands I seized a High Lord's son in broad daylight at a very popular inn at the crossroads for everyone to see.
Hmm.
What, right or wrong, I made a decision and now I have to see it through. There's no, like, what am I supposed to do now? People have already died for us trying to get us up
Yeah.
here. We can't just turn back around now and be like, "Hey, Tywin, my bad. Here's your son back." Like we have to see this through now. And
Yeah.
it sucks because I like you see Catelyn starting to have those doubts like, fuck, maybe he didn't do it. Well, too late now. I gotta just
And especially like when they had to separate, right? And she mentioned about the higher sword and how like without them, they all be dead because they got
Yep.
attacked multiple times on this journey, right?
Yep.
And then he's so calm, cool, and collective, where it's like if someone that really did a crime, they're not going to feel like this after being and knowing they're heading to a person who's not right in their mind. And he warned you about her too. So
Yep.
like, there's some things going on, and like, dang, no matter how you put it, I got an answer for this. So I might as well see it through. I gotta
Yep.
see it. And then you're seeing how she mentioned how she was uncomfortable that the relationship between the higher sword Braun and it was happening. Like I'm trying to separate them, but I really can't separate them because I'm just trying to like go with the vibe as I'm still strong. These thoughts happening in your mind and all this going on with you, and then you have this long terrain we mentioned before to get to your sister. And then once we actually get to your sister, the presentation alone, bro, was as if like everything was cool when everybody was watching, but when they closed that door, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't lying. She had her hand, held her hand, and then once the doors closed, dropped it immediately.
Yep. Yep. The facade is off now. The facade is off. Yeah.
I came to you, and you just, what is going on now? Like,
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah. And
So
and
tell
and
me.
so I think Lysa, to everything that we were just talking about, I think Lysa saw the error in Catelyn's actions,
Mm-hmm.
because she's like, bro, what the fuck? What are you doing? What are you? She
Yeah,
was like, and Catelyn's like, yeah, you sent me that letter about how the Lannisters were dangerous, about how they were, behind some nefarious shit going on in the kingdom. And she's like, yeah, I warned you to stay away from them, not bring them to my fucking front door.
bro. And knowing that the only error they have is right there too. Like, what are you
Right.
doing? Like, what
Which
are
is
you doing?
probably, by and away, the sanest thing that Lysa says in this entire chapter, right? Um, because after this, it kind of we kind of go off the rails a little bit, because we get introduced we get introduced to Robert Arryn, um, the presumably trueborn heir of John Arryn. I have my doubts, but okay. Um, he's what, 6, and the Blackfish had warned her that, like, he's a sickly child, and
Uh huh.
people have had doubts about whether or not this kid will ever be fit to rule, because his mom never lets him out of her sight. I mean, he's 6 years old and he's still fucking breastfeeding, for God's sakes. Like,
The presentation of when we finally got to him.
yeah,
They used the word sickly. I think that was a nice way of putting it.
yeah,
Because this guy is a little off the rocker. And then how much passion the sister had to present. Like, it's him. Seed strong. Woman she wasn't talking about. He wasn't.
yeah. That wasn't what he was talking about. I think he
He
may have
was talking about
misinterpreted.
something totally different. But in her perception, in her mind, the seed strong. Yeah, he is. He's. Come on, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
and again, like we talked about the Blackfish giving Catelyn a lot of,
yes.
like, hey, heads up, your sister is a little different. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Catelyn tried to kind of, not diminish, that's the wrong word, but try to, like, downplay a little bit of that by saying, hey, look, we both got married to two dudes that we ain't never met before, that we ain't really, you know what I mean? Like, both of our marriages started off as, like, duty. And Blackfish was like, yeah, but, like, you learn to, like, really grow and love your husband, and you, like, y'all have, like, this big family, and, like, everything is cool up there in Winterfell, and, like, things have not been that nice to your
Yeah.
sister. Things have not been cool to your sister. Like, not to mention, John Aaron was an old dude when he got married to her. It wasn't like Ned, when he was young and still looking good. Like, John Aaron was old, old, old. You know what I mean? She had a bunch of miscarriages. You know what I
Back.
mean? She has not had the last 12, 15 year experience that you have had. You know what I mean? The years have not been kind to your sister.
And then when you think about that, after the whole like not being able to have successful pregnancies,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a moment when she even like to go back a little bit when she like was pissed off about the bastard and Stone, how she thought about John, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which
Inside
just
her,
shows her pettiness. Like,
yeah,
I
yeah,
I
but
love that there was a little passion there where she was just like, it did not please Catelyn. That was a
exactly.
bastard name. I'm just like,
But if
bitch,
you
can you
think,
just stop being petty for 1 second?
but I,
God
yeah,
damn.
but I brought up for one moment because that means, but you grew up in a household with 5 kids. Like you had
Right.
five, was it? You had five, 3 boys. Yeah, you had 5 kids plus a bastard. Your
Right.
sister tried to have a family and was only able to have one.
Yep.
So when uncle's giving you game, he's like, yo, you actually have a different lifestyle. You can hate a kid because you got so many of them. She
Right.
only had one, lost her husband, lost everything she has, no rights when she was younger about who she was supposed to be with.
Right.
And then she got a little chance and she thinks that on top of that was foul play. Like, yeah, it's not the same storyline. So
Yeah.
when we see her, right, and then you mentioned about how angry she was that you brought a Lannister here, X, Y, and Z, right? Folks, we have to remember this. they are at the top of where the Vale is. Everyone else is still at the bottom because they weren't allowed to travel at night,
Right.
right? So please inform us as a new reader and as fans, how long is that travel for the people going to be in the morning time before they even see them? Like, what's going to happen next? Like, we see the energy. What are we looking forward to seeing? Because even he says, "He a bad man, let him fly." Like, that's
Yeah.
the kid already said that.
Yeah. And those of you who have seen the show, you guys kind of know what's coming next. They're going to accuse Tyrion, and he's going to stand trial here in the Vale. Um, you mentioned, a couple of the other folks had to kind of like stay behind,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which great news for Sir Roderick because Catelyn was looking at him like, hey, yo, I don't know if he's gonna make it, man. I don't know if he's gonna make it because he was looking real bad. He's an older dude, so he's had to fight. He took a couple wounds, so it's not been a great trip for him. But going back to the upcoming stakes, it's like, all right, we're up here secluded, and we've got this sickly boy and this batshit crazy of a woman ruling over him. Um, I think there's a bit of foreshadowing here about the demise of both Sweet Robin and Lysa,
Yes.
because the Blackfish talked about, she's still young enough, and Sweet Robin is not exactly the strongest boy, so
Mm-hmm.
people have had doubts about the future of the house, right? For good reason.
Yeah.
Because if she doesn't marry again and have more children, if something happens to Sweet Robin, which you know could very well happen,
Welcome.
what does the future of House Aaron look like? You know what I
Yes.
mean? So she's been kind of keeping the door open, but only so much that she can still manipulate that power up there.
Yeah.
Because the Blackfish even said, and I think it's a true statement. She has no intention of ever actually
Yeah. At all.
remarrying
She wants
anyone.
to basically keep the power and do her thing, right? So
Right.
I don't. I'm not Catelyn. I'm not feeling comfortable right now. I'm not feeling confident at all. Now, just to piggyback on what you just said about her sister's mind state, the child's mind state, on the show, it doesn't give as much detail on the separation part. It doesn't give much detail about how Tyrion and Bronn were riding together and they were building a relationship, everything else, laughing, all
Right.
that stuff. So if you just watch the television show, when we already talked about it, we've seen the show, but when he decides to step up and be like, yo, I'm going to defend him, I didn't really understand that.
Right.
I thought like you would think they were all there under Catelyn's tutelage, like they were here to protect Catelyn. But
Right.
if you read the book, you understand that they were building a relationship when things were separated.
Yep.
So about time this actually takes place, it makes more sense on why you'd be like, yo, I'll fight for the
Yeah,
Empire.
that's a great point. That's a great point. And not for nothing, again, Catelyn saw him fight. She was like, "Oh, he moved like a panther. Like
Yeah.
he was so good
Mm-hmm.
at sword play." You know what I mean? And she did not like how he was cozying up with Tyrion the whole
Yes.
way up. Um, and not for nothing, again, Tyrion's a Lannister. He's a member of the richest family in the Seven Kingdoms. Like, yeah, I'm gonna stand for him because I make it out of this. I'm gonna get paid a bag. I
And
know
you,
this.
yeah. And think about it, as a fan watching the show, like I didn't understand it. I didn't know like did this guy hate her also because she was crazy and cuckoo? But now, like this chapter definitely gave me more insight on like why things happened the way they did,
Yeah.
and I'm happy that like I learned more about what's going on because then when they mentioned about how the travel was so hard and so tough, and they always say that the pathway to get there is going to take so long. Well, now I get it because every time you step into a different terrain, and
Yeah.
if you're just a regular Joe, if you don't have money or resources to sleep or good food or a lot of stuff, like
You're not
you
gonna
could
make it.
die. You could
You're
die
not
just
gonna make it.
yeah, so all this is going on, and I'm in my head like, Catelyn, what you doing, yo? Like, I don't like you, but you now like on the side of a nest of chaos. Like, you got the best fighter over here, cozy up to your prisoner who's not your prisoner. The person I want to believe in the past judgment is not in her right mind. Her
Yep.
son said, "Let the man fly." Hasn't heard nothing was going on,
Yep.
and you just sitting there like your uncle probably like, "I told you so."
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's a messed up situation she finds herself in, man. Again, and again, it goes back to me kind of like being like, oh, because like she's kind of stuck. She's
yeah.
stuck now for all the reasons you just said. Like we've already made this trek all the way up here. I've already committed to this.
Mm-hmm.
Tywin's not going to give a goddamn
I
about
mean,
any pleas you got now. Like it's
yeah.
up. It's happening. It's already happening. So we might as well see it through. But this was the wild card I don't think Catelyn really accounted for was her sister being nuts and her nephew still breastfeeding at damn near 7 years old.
Best chapter for Calvin so far. Best chapter. I will admit that. Best chapter for me.
It is a very good chapter. You get a lot of exposition just about like the setting.
Yeah.
You get a lot of history about Catelyn and Lysa's upbringing and a little taste on of what their adult lives have been since they've kind of separated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's I hate to keep sounding like a broken record and saying like it's all downhill from here, but things are things just keep continuing to build, and I think George does such a great job at like building up the tension like this
Mm-hmm.
without it getting stale. Because I feel like there are like mediums or shows or TVs or books or whatever that like try to build up this kind of tension, but then
Yes.
it just feels drawn out. You know what I mean? In a way that's
Yeah.
just like, oh, you're just putting in filler. This doesn't feel like filler, even though I feel like if we were watching this as like an anime show, like because animes are notorious for having like filler episodes, like
Yeah.
this. Even though you could classify this as like filler because they're just like traveling most of the chapter, it's a lot of valuable exposition about like why it is that these people in that live in this region are the way that they are.
It
You know what I mean?
does.
And it's because they're so cut off from everything else.
Yes, it
You know what I
does.
mean? And someone like Lysa, who's already not all the way there, being in a place like this, it's only gonna make it worse.
No, I don't. Yeah, it's crazy, crazy, crazy.
It's only gonna make it worse.
So where we going next? What's next?
We're back with Ned. Next chapter. So it's right off the heels of Littlefinger coming in after he pretty much quit being Hand. And tried to storm out, and Littlefinger's trying to rope him back in to staying in King's Landing. So, um,
Countdown begins.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got a
So,
I got an
uh,
hourglass over there. I should probably just bring it over next episode and be like,
every time we read a Ned chapter, just
yeah, it's coming right now, bro. It's about.
yeah, it's bad. It's all bad. It's all bad. It's all bad. Well, guys, if you guys are still with us, thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know your thoughts on the chapter, and how you guys feel about Catelyn. I feel like this is probably the most tame Darron has been on a Catelyn chapter thus far. So that's good.
Because
That's good.
you know how I love atmosphere, I love Lamb. You like it was more about that than it was her. So yeah, good chapter.
Well, guys, we'll catch you guys next time. Darron, it's a pleasure as always, man. We'll catch y'all in the next one.
Yes, sir.